3 frugal habits that will make you a ton of money. We all want to have a ton of money, but sadly, few ever do. Why is that? Because they lack certain money-making habits. Fortunately, if you don't have these 3 particular habits now, you will soon, as I share with you 3 frugal habits that will make you a ton of money and will begin to change your life overnight. Habit 1. Planning your time. Have you ever met someone your age who was widely successful and thought to yourself how they could have accomplished so much compared to yourself despite having been around as long as you have? I know I've definitely felt this way before, and while some people simply start their lives from more privileged positions, many people, those who become successful, are particularly good time managers. Now, saying that these people are good with their time is a rather vague statement, so let me share with you how I see most wealthy people using their time so you can adopt their habits and gain the same level of financial success as they have. What you are going to need to radically improve your financial position is a time management system. The goal of this system should be twofold. First, you want this system to keep you organized so that you spend little time thinking about what you need to get done each and every day. Most people who want to get rich waste a ton of time every week and significantly hamstring any chance they may have of getting wealthy. Second, when you have a time management system in place, you can ensure that most of your time is directed towards money-making activities. For instance, you can slot in periods of time to work on your business, work on your side hustle, or leave slots open for more overtime at work. As you would imagine, the more you work, the more you will make. So naturally, having more time to produce output is essential in making more money. I know for myself personally, as soon as I started planning out my weeks, my income skyrocketed immediately. Why? Because I started to find a ton more time to take on freelance projects and significantly improve the online business I was running. And I'm not going to lie, doing so probably cut out 10 hours a week of useless social media time, allowing me to sleep more and still see my family and friends. In fact, planning can even get you the time to gently tap that like button below, which I'll kindly ask you to do now. As you can see, planning your days will end up raising your income, but it has the potential to do so much more. What am I referring to when I say so much more? I mean you will also save yourself a ton of money in the process. When you plan out your weeks, you can plan your meals, transportation and the like, and this can save you a ton of money. For instance, the average American eats out 6 times a week at an average monthly cost of $300. Assuming you cooked at home instead, I am confident that this amount could easily be cut in half, and when combined with taking less Ubers to get around and avoiding the cost of wasted time in your life as well, planning your days is literally a hack for getting ahead financially. However, you still may not be convinced that planning your time is as lucrative as I'm making it out to be. So let's share the most powerful way I've improved my finances by better managing my time. Over the last couple years, I have become a huge fan of outsourcing many of my day-to-day tasks. For instance, I now outsource some of my cooking and most of my administrative tasks within my different businesses. This literally saves me hours a month, freeing up more time to work and ultimately making me more money. Now, the key to making this work is to trade that freed up time for more income-producing time. For example, if I am paying to have my house cleaned, it only makes sense to do so if I can use that time to generate more income in its place. For instance, if I pay $50 an hour for cleaning services and I can make $100 an hour, then technically I'm ahead. Plus, I don't have to clean my dirty toilets. However, if I could only make $25 during that time instead, it would probably make more sense to grab my toilet scrubber and do the work myself. Therefore, plan your weeks, plan your spending and outsource where you can, and when you do so, you'll start to come into more money than you've ever had before. Habit 2. Understanding your wants and needs. One of the superpowers all frugal people possess is the knowledge of what they deem to be enough. Now, when I say enough, I mean that they have a clear understanding of what truly brings them value in their lives and what items are only nice-to-haves. For instance, many people will argue that having the latest iPhone is a need item in their life because without it, they will be scrutinized by their peers. However, is getting a new phone, one that is basically identical to last year's model, really adding a lot of value to your life? The answer to that question is personal to those being asked. However, the more honest you can be with yourself around what adds value to your life and what doesn't, the sooner you will become rich. Now, love him or hate him, one example of someone who really understood his financial purpose was none other than Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Back in 1999, Bezos was interviewed by 60 Minutes where he was shown driving around a beat-up Honda Accord, despite being worth $10 billion at the time. When asked why he drove such a modest car, he explained that getting ahead requires you to spend money where it's needed and avoid doing so where it isn't. So the question is, how can you better delineate your wants versus your needs? Well, there are a few strategies you can deploy, so let's get into what exactly they are right now. The first approach you can take to understand what items are wants versus needs is to simply review your spending each and every month. Look at your bank withdrawals, your credit card statements, and other receipts of products and services you've paid for in the last 30 days. Doing so should allow you to identify expenditures that may not be of the highest value to you, and that can be eliminated in order to advance your financial progression. However, from what I've noticed over time, this approach often misses the mark for one main reason. That reason is that people can literally justify any expense. As such, you may be better off employing strategy number 2. Second strategy you can use to separate your wants versus your needs is to perform a spending freeze. For the next week or month, stop all non-routine spending. During this time, only spend on core expenses like groceries, housing, and transportation. Doing so will allow you to assess how much all your extracurricular expenses really impact your day-to-day happiness. For instance, you may come to realize you didn't miss having cable and could cut out that $100 expense with ease. Alternatively, you may come to realize that you don't need to buy a nice bag or shirt every time you have a stressful day at work. Finally, you may come to realize that you need to be subscribed to this channel, so if you aren't, make sure you do that now. In short, you can gauge the usefulness of your spending easier when you go without certain habitual purchases, and personally, I find this approach to be more effective of the two. As such, when you start to cut out wants and only focus on needs, of course this will cause you to free up more cash, which, when paired with habit number 3, has the potential to put you in the 1%. Habit 3. Investing aggressively. One of the traits of frugal people that few people appreciate is their desire to invest and prosper. Now, investing can come in many forms, and while most people think about investing in their financial sense, there are many forms of investment frugal people will undertake. The first is the investment of their time. Frugal people, as I've noticed before, are savvy time managers. They limit useless spending so that they aren't beholden to having to make a ton of money, and with this freed up time, they have the opportunity to invest into other areas of their lives. For instance, they can use free time to improve their health, their relationships, or go out and make more money. However, you're likely most interested in that last point, so let me share how frugal people invest their time in order to become rich. You see, when most people start up businesses, which if you ask me, are a much more efficient income vehicle than 9-to-5 jobs, it takes a lot of time. If you look at some of the most successful businesses of all time, they have taken decades to reach their level of prominence. Even in my own business experience so far, it takes me about 3 years to go from starting a business to transforming into a 6-figure income-making machine. However, to get there, you need to invest time, as most often, other resources aren't available when you're first starting out. However, if you do have excess financial resources, this can speed up your path to wealth, and generally speaking, frugal people do. Why is that? Because of what we talked about earlier, in the fact that they know what items they need and which are just nice to haves. And when you only focus your money on the former, having ample resources to invest with is inevitable. Now, obviously it is not overly helpful for me to just tell you that you should invest. The key is to learn where to invest your money and why it makes sense. So let's get into a few options you should consider once you have these frugal habits in place. The first form of investment is into what I like to call hands-off assets. This includes things like index funds, real estate, cryptocurrency, and the like. The reality is there is a ton of money to be made without your involvement, and if you spend the time to learn about these different asset classes, they can be extremely efficient ways of becoming wealthy. Another form of investment is into a business. Well, businesses usually take more time to get off the ground than a good investment. They can provide returns that far exceed the norm. For instance, you can spend $100 making a digital product that earns you $10,000 in revenue. That's a return that you will likely never see when investing in traditional assets. However, the best investment, as cliché as it sounds, is in yourself. Now, this doesn't mean you should go and spend $100,000 to get a new degree or join a money-making seminar. I mean, you should be investing in knowledge and experiences that have a positive financial return. For instance, a couple years ago, I read the book Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. In this book, I learned that avoiding costly management fees could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime, and when I realized this, I changed my investing approach to avoid these fees immediately. In short, I gained a massive benefit from a book I took out of the library, which of course cost me nothing to acquire. The point is, if you want to get rich, you need to invest. There's no way around it. You need to be hyper aware of the best ways to invest your time and your money, as both are incredibly valuable and limited resources. In fact, if you really want to optimize your life for getting rich, click on this next video and let's get started.